Well, actually, I first heard of Jayden back in probably February of what 2024.
Yep.
When I got this great text or email announcing the formation of Florida Future Leaders PAC. And I immediately, sent off $100. And I apparently wasn't alone. He'll go into that a little bit more. But then we went to see him at FAU, where he had his first fundraiser in our area, and it just blown away. I mean, I don't. I asked someone what the minimum age for governor is in Florida because I thought maybe I was looking at a
No,
no.
no.
Okay.
I'm not, listen,
Not high enough.
we got a lot more years to go until then.
Yeah.
We got a lot of work to do in the state, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. And so anyway, Jayden's come and spoken to us before. And I was just thrilled that he's going to be part of the next wave of people who are going to help fix some of the problems that and I have to say, I feel very defensive about my generation, but not when we were young. I mean, we stopped the Vietnam War. We made Richard Nixon crazy, and helped drive him from office. And civil rights legislation, we did a lot. And then Reagan came along, and automation came along, and unions got crippled, and that's where we've been for the last 50 years. And I thought that we were turning a corner with Biden. And then we were. Of course we were. We were turning a corner, but now, we took 3 steps forward. I mean, they were giant steps, and now we've taken about 10 back. So with that, I give you Jayden.
I appreciate it. I'm always happy to be here with y'all. By the way, I think this is my second or third time. Third time. Always love to be here with y'all. Seriously. I really don't even know where to start. Honestly, I think that we've got so much going on in the state, in this country, that it's just like impossible to keep up with it almost. The first thing that I'm always focused on is our state and our state legislature and our governor. Because I think that's what impacts us on our day-to-day lives the most. And if any of y'all paid attention to our legislative session this year, you realize that they did nothing. They did nothing at all.
They did nothing good.
It's nothing good.
Except
nothing substantial either. It was probably the least productive legislative session that I've ever seen. And from asking other people who have been in this much longer than me, they've said the same thing. And I actually realized this is the same print that I wrote an op-ed about that exact topic. I believe that they had the fewest bills they've passed in that legislative session in the past 6 years. And there's no care for bipartisanship.
That could be a good thing.
It could be a good thing. Honestly, it could be.
what they did a year ago.
It's a good thing for Democrats in the sense that there's so much infighting in the Republican Party right now here in our state, because part of it is you have such an extreme wing of the Republican Party versus also an extreme wing, but of a different type of extreme. We have a governor that wants to run for president again in 2028.
In his white shoes.
And his big old boots.
Yeah, right.
His little lifts as well. Versus a legislature that hates him but wants to bow down to Donald Trump every single day they possibly can. And we saw that with redistricting, for example. And obviously here in Palm Beach, you all are affected in a big way. And for me, where I live, my district is now spanning from Wellington and Palm Beach to Davie in Broward County, which is where I live, all the way to the west coast of Marco Island. It is the craziest district I've ever seen in my life.
I was
Yeah.
state senator in Massachusetts who had the same thing happen to him. And when I was interviewed, I described the district as looking like a stretched out piece of bubble gum.
It's exactly what this is. And it is the craziest district I've ever seen crafted. And that's what they need to do in order to steal more districts. It doesn't impact me specifically. It impacts our congressional representatives. So like for my district, I'm represented by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who I think is a good representative. I think she's done a great job. She's been there for quite some time and passes great legislation, brings back tons of dollars for our district. As a constituent of hers, I'm affected because there's less money now coming back to where I live because Republicans want to draw up a district that spans from Naples with Marco Island all the way to Wellington to Davie. There's no way that's compact. There's no way a representative can represent all of those places in a good manner. The issues are just not the same. In a political sense, for any person that had a real shot of running for Congress in a seat that was a safe blue seat, they no longer have that opportunity. It's a seat that Trump won by about 11 points, which is still a competitive seat based off of how bad Republicans seem like they're going to do in this midterm. But for the future, it's tough. It's really a tough place for us now. And that's really in a number of districts. And I bring up the redistricting only because, I mean, obviously it's been in the news. We've all seen it. But the reality is it's a way for them to try and stay in power with the fact that they don't have solutions for this affordability crisis that they have in the state and really across this country, but especially in this state. Go ahead. It's already taken effect. It will take effect for this election cycle. Now, there's a number of lawsuits in the courts, and we're actually waiting for a result on whether they're going to stay this decision for this year. And if they do, what will happen is it'll likely take effect in 2028. Right. Because what they're going to do is they're going to send it to the state Supreme Court, which is
appointed
all Republican. Yeah. There's, I believe, only one justice on there that was not appointed by DeSantis, who was appointed by Scott. So it's not much better anyways. And I think the best way for us to obviously just fight back is by getting our people out there, getting our people involved, getting our people registered, getting our people on vote by mail. They have, they passed that law in the legislature that you have to register for vote by mail after every election now. And I'm running my own campaign. I'm running for state representative in Broward County. What's that? After every election. Yeah. And I'm running for state representative down in the district that I grew up in Broward County. And I've knocked over 7,000 doors myself so far in this campaign. And I have asked every single person that I've spoken to at the door if they have re-enrolled. And this is anecdotal, but I would say probably about 85 to 90% of them don't know that we have that law.
7,000 people in Delray Beach have not re-enrolled, and 100,000 in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
So I mean, and when you make phone calls, and then these are people that are, politically aware. It's like hot voters, and I didn't know that.
Yeah. It is really a crisis we have on our hands on that part, because they don't want Democrats to vote, and this is how Democrats vote usually. Right. I think in my primary, just in my primary alone, I expect about 55 to 60% of Democrats should be voting by mail. But with the fact that they don't know about this, that number is going to decrease. And unfortunately, that number is not going to decrease towards people voting in person or voting early. It's some of these people are just not going to vote as a result of this. And that's going to travel over to the general election as well. So what I've been trying to do is not only meet people where they are and hear about their issues at their door, but I've also been carrying around vote by mail enrollment forms with me. I bought over 1,000 mailers from the department supervisor of elections in Broward County. And they have these, I would imagine Palm Beach does, so you all should look into this. They do. These mailers, they pay for the postage on it and everything like that. All they have to do is fill out the form for vote by mail, and you stick it in their mailbox for them. And they are registered for vote by mail now. And I'm proud to say we've gotten hundreds of those signed in the door. Yeah, you put it in their mailbox for them.
Right.
Well, I mean, you give it to them, they put it in their mailbox, or you just, when you're done canvassing, you just put it in. But it's after speaking to them, after you knock their door.
Right.
They sign all of the thing, and you know,
Are
they
they,
put it in.
we have pre-filled VBM applications.
That
So
too.
everything
Yeah.
is in, and all they have to do is sign it. And I checked with Wendy Link because I was nervous about bringing them in, like you're limited the number of ballots you can bring in.
Right.
And I texted her and I said, you know, are there any restrictions? And we're going and collecting. And she wrote back, no restrictions, collect away.
Yeah.
So you can, you know, 50, whatever you get, you just walk in and drop it at the SOE. And
It's the most important thing we could do besides voter registration. Those are the two most important things we can do as a party right now. Because there's a lot of people unregistered to vote, and then obviously there's a lot of people that don't know about that vote by mail law,
Right.
like I mentioned.
and the percentage that ultimately vote when they have enrolled
Yeah.
is just astronomical.
I've seen studies where I think they've said
Up
that
to
you're
90%.
75, 80, 90% more
Yeah.
likely
Right.
to vote if you signed up for a vote by mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So-
and I got religion in 2020. When I came down here, I thought it was stupid, you
Mm.
know, because it was vote by mail, vote by mail, vote by mail.
Yeah.
And not telling people why they had to vote. I mean,
Yep.
the whole thing was get them to vote by mail.
Yeah.
And it's a tool,
Yeah.
but a fool with a tool, you know, is still a fool.
Yeah.
So, but 2020 with the pandemic, I was nervous about what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And I started telling people, like in minority communities where they like to early vote or go to the polls, they don't want to stick things in the mail. I said, look, it's just insurance.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know what Trump is going to do in November.
Yeah.
And this way you can mail it. And if there's not a problem, you just
Yeah.
go and vote. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
It's incredibly important we get as many people on vote by mail as possible. I think the other thing, and I say this as a candidate, when people vote by mail, when our Democrats vote by mail, we actually find out as candidates when that ballot is received by the supervisor of elections. And that tells us as candidates and campaigns that we don't have to focus on you anymore. So, Michael, if you submit your vote by mail, I won't have to knock your door again. I won't have to send you another text. I won't have to send you another mailer. I don't have to worry about you. I already know you voted.
Right.
And that is a huge win for Democrats because that allows us to focus on people that haven't voted yet.
How do you know? How is
We get numbers back from the supervisor of elections during the voting process.
right?
So I believe that this is another thing that Republicans did. They actually changed the law to when campaigns can find out.
Oh yeah, on van like 30 days
Yes.
before and 60 days after.
So it
You
used
have
to
do
be-
research to see.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It used to be that campaigns and Democrats and Republicans that were running for office could find out who is voting by mail in their district, like whenever, pretty much.
Right.
They've changed the law to now you can only find out those people 60 days before an election. And the reason why that is because they don't want typically Democratic candidates to be knocking doors and organizing people who are going to be voting by mail earlier on so that we can get a leg up on these elections. So all that to say, there's a lot of rigging in a lot of different ways. Obviously, the redistricting is very obvious, and then vote by mail and all these other things are more of a shadowy type thing. I think that the main reason, and I mentioned this before, is because of the affordability crisis, but especially here in Florida, we have a property insurance crisis, which is out of control. They have no solution on property insurance. We're also ranked dead last in the nation on auto insurance, and they have no solution for that. And as long as the Republicans don't have a solution on those things, that should be our whole message of the Democratic Party in this state. Everyone is affected by it in some fashion. And that's what I've made my whole campaign about. I passed out those literature. You'll see on that literature.
But you need a solution.
You do need a solution. And I'm happy to go into those solutions. I think for auto insurance, for example, 1 in 5 drivers on our roads are driving uninsured right now. So if you have a 1 in 5 chance, if you drive out of here, you get in a car crash, they're uninsured. You're screwed, basically. And we got to make sure that we get more people insured in this state. We're actually one of the lowest ranking states in the nation on people who on the rate of which we have uninsured drivers. I think we've got to strengthen those penalties, but we've also got to realize why people are driving uninsured. They can't afford it. And so for me, that means I think we have to offer a rebate program in some fashion. People that are previously uninsured that become insured, we give them a few dollars back so that they can actually, survive and afford that insurance. And hopefully we can keep them on that insurance after that first year, after that rebate program. And as far as property insurance, the biggest problem in my eyes is we've had a lot of insurers collapse in this state.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of insurers leave this state. And something that I want to propose is I actually want to create low interest rate loans for the creation of regional based insurers. Why is that a good idea? Because you're going to have more insurers operating in our state, more offers on the market, and more competition in our state amongst those insurers, driving down your rates. Why would the big insurers hate that? Because they hate competition. They dominate the entire market right now. I'd be their most hated representative by quite a large margin if something like this were able to pass. Yeah. So it would be low interest rate loans that we would give specifically to regional based insurers to create regional based insurers. And they would have to follow certain guidelines. So for example, if you are getting funded off of this low interest rate loan, you can only raise your rate by X amount percentage each year.
So it would cap it.
It would cap it. But they would be okay because they're funded off a government loan. Their money's always there, basically. And the government would actually make money off of this because these are loans. I mean, we're not giving high interest rate loans, but you would actually make off of it.
Companies taking out loans.
In order to create these companies, that's what those loans would come from. That's actually happened in our state about 30 years ago. They passed this before. And they've never done it since. And I think the main reason why they haven't done it since is because the Republicans are bought by these massive insurance companies in the state to not pass something like this again. And unfortunately, I haven't seen any Democrats in the legislature realize that this is something that they've passed in the past. And so we've got to make sure that we have a policy like that on deck. And I'm not saying that's the perfect policy. I happen to think it's a pretty good policy. But if someone has a better one, I'm all ears.
Well, the funny thing, though, is that Republicans don't have a problem with not having a plan. All they do is say, you screwed up, that this is bad, this is bad. And I think here, how can Republicans defend? Everybody knows there's an affordability crisis, insurance crisis, whatever. Maybe not everybody knows that they have a supermajority in both houses of the legislature, but they run the show.
Yeah.
And they could have done something and they've done nothing. And that should be the message.
Yeah.
You could have and you didn't.
I'll give you an example of something very specific on that. The whole property tax discussion that we now have. They don't have a single plan for that, by the way. Our governor has not publicized a single plan. They have a concept of a plan, always do, as Republicans. And they've passed a theoretical plan in the state house. It hasn't passed the state senate. We'll see what gets on the ballot. But the plan that they passed, which doesn't even have the governor's support, would basically kill our municipalities and their budgets. I actually think I'm a rare, and you all might disagree, I'm a rare Democrat that actually sees an opportunity here on property taxes. I actually love the discussion. I'm glad they brought up the discussion and the fact that they don't have a plan around it, because it gives us an opportunity to say, Republicans have no plan on it, but we have a plan to reduce your property taxes, because let's be real, no one likes to pay property taxes. We all pay it because we realize that it pays for our critical services. We don't want our municipalities to get defunded. But if we had an actual plan to fund those services while also decreasing our property taxes that we have to pay, that we're burdened by every single year, I think anybody would sign up for that. And so
The plan is income tax.
income tax we'd never pass. It's a constitutional amendment that we have that we'd never pass. But something I propose is we create what is called a sovereign wealth fund. A sovereign wealth fund is something that a number of other states have. For example, Alaska has the largest one in the nation, and they generate off of their oil and gas revenues.
Right.
And basically what it is, it's something that our state, and mainly in this scenario, would be property owners would pay a piece of their property tax into this fund. We would generate interest off of that revenue in there. that interest would go back to homeowners and municipalities to decrease and eventually eliminate property taxes over a gradual amount of time. And no Republican has proposed this, no Democrat has proposed this in the legislature. I think it would be a great way for us to eliminate those property taxes. Meanwhile, all the municipalities, their budgets would stay the same. They'd actually grow with inflation every single year. So that way, we still get the same thing that we all get, but you all are not paying for it anymore as homeowners. Yes.
And I would say 95% of the voters won't understand what you're saying.
Correct, which is why we got to put it in a nice way.
It's
And
not a case of finding solutions.
yeah,
It's a case of,
Communicate.
no, it's a case of communicating with them on an emotional level.
Yeah.
Because up here doesn't motivate.
yeah.
Here's what motivates.
The good thing is I'm not running for governor, so I don't have to, you know, not yet.
So.
Yes,
you're
I
right.
agree
And
100%.
you want to be able to convince people.
Yeah,
Not that your idea is the better plan,
right.
but that you can and will make the changes that will benefit them.
Yeah.
They don't care about you. They don't care about the state. They don't care about the poor people who are living on the street. They care about themselves. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
I got 9, Jack.
I think-
A long time ago, a very wise man said, it's the economy, stupid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's why we got to focus on those affordability issues, right? And we just got to make sure we find ways that it's digestible for people to understand
Yeah.
these different issues.
So we don't have to teach them. We have to motivate them. Not educate, motivate.
I think there's also a level of education though, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who, and I've knocked on the doors, having knocked on a lot of doors.
That's the mistake. Most activists I've known over the years, and I've done this half a century now.
Yeah,
The mistake most activists I know make is that we think that we have to educate people. We
well,
don't.
they're not going to vote on something they don't know what it is,
Yeah,
you know?
okay. They're not gonna
Um,
vote on something.
I respectfully disagree, but and I'll tell you why I disagree. I disagree because we've literally seen it with Trump. Trump's whole thought process is, I'm just going to say that I'm going to lower your taxes. I'm going to make sure that life is affordable for you, and then not offer anything.
Got him elected.
It did get him elected, and now it's gotten us to a point where, unfortunately, our voters are dumber for it.
And Barack Obama got elected not by talking about issues. One simple 3-word phrase. Yes, we can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, taglines are important. Like, for example,
No, no,
FDR.
Headlines, emotions.
FDR had, the New Deal, for example, and we ought to have something that we can give that is digestible for people in our state. I think there's a lot of ways in which we can do that, and we've got to package policies and give real solutions to people. There you go. If we can offer real things, it is a complete rebuttal to what Republicans have offered in the state, which is nothing. And I think that's critical for us to show.
And I mean, the good thing is, in this environment now, you don't have to do as much work to get them emotionally charged, because they are every time they go to the gas station. When they what?
Mhm.
Or the grocery store. I mean, and that killed Biden, even though it was, he had like maybe 1% responsibility for the inflation. He got killed on it.
Yeah.
And with Trump, it's like he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way. I mean, there are stupid people. A guy cut me off 3 times the other day.
Yeah.
The first time he went like this, I flashed my lights, and then I went like, and he did it again. And then I pulled up next to him at a light, and I looked over at him, and he starts going like this at me. And I said, lower your window. And he lowers his window, and he says, say hello to Kabbalah for me. Yeah, he saw my bumper sticker. So I said, you're a fucking moron. The first thing I could think of, I mean, what I should have said is, are you enjoying putting gas in that car?
Fortunately, he wasn't carrying a loaded weapon.
Yeah.
I know.
Concealed.
Bumpers. I don't
But-
do anything. It's for that.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who believe that gas prices are high because we have to stop Iran from getting a nuclear
Right.
weapon. I mean, there are people that are dumb enough but they're not a majority of Republicans. I think the majority of Republicans.
I paid $60 the other day on my gas tank on a Kia Forte, which is like I can't believe that I paid that much. It was like $4.80 per gallon. I think I had to pay. Nuts. The other thing I'll say, and this is a message that I found actually resonates the most, besides affordability, is just the unrivaled amount of corruption that we have here in the state of Florida. It is completely out of control. We have 30 years straight of one party rule. And within 30 years straight of one party rule in the past year, there is like a story every day about the corruption that we have in this state. And Hope Florida, the allegations about our governor stealing $60 million for ballot amendment measures to argue against them. Amendment 3 and Amendment 4 obviously is massive corruption because he stole that money from children. He stole that money from our Medicaid, I believe. Education. That's horrible. That's a huge corruption issue. The other thing I think that people don't think about enough, that I've really talked about, I've tried to talk about at least on this campaign, is we have a state budget of $115 billion. Okay, that's our state budget. We have billions of dollars spent each year on garbage, on straight up, and excuse my language, bullshit, because we have a government that makes contracts with donors for Governor DeSantis and the Republicans, and they pay at extreme rates so that they can get more money into their campaigns. That is horrible.
Yeah.
A perfect example of it was Alligator Alcatraz.
Right.
You know what the largest expense was for Alligator Alcatraz? They spent $100 million to contract porta potties. Do you know who runs the porta potties?
No.
The company that they contracted? One of DeSantis's biggest donors.
Yeah.
One of DeSantis's biggest donors.
That's a
There
corrupt shit, you know?
That is, it is a perfect example of the sort of corruption that we have in our government and in our budget that Democrats do not call out nearly enough, unfortunately, in our state, in my opinion. Yes.
Question about these people that are imprisoned,
Mm-hmm.
places like Alligator Alcatraz,
Concentration camp.
concentration camps or internment camps. Is there any way that we can find out those people who are eligible to vote? Because I'm thinking that they're picking up people that are not necessarily illegal aliens or immigrants or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And they're just keeping them imprisoned so that they can't vote.
I think it's horrible that we even have to come to that thought process, and I have to entertain it because it's reality. It honestly is. And I don't have an answer for you on how we would even try and think about finding that out, because unfortunately they don't seem to care. I mean, we saw 2 people shot and killed, right? And they were both citizens. They were both citizens.
There's something out to the families.
Yeah.
Let me know if your uncle or father.
Yeah.
I don't think you can give it to them. I don't think you should you mean get voter registration to them?
Can't even get their names.
Can't even get
If
their name.
if we could get their names, yeah.
Well, yeah. They can't even get lawyers.
I will also say it's mainly a congressional issue. The reps in Congress are the ones that really deal with sort of all of the immigration laws and things like that, especially regarding ICE. They would know more than me in terms of how that would even go, getting such names. I honestly don't know. I don't have an answer for you, and I wish I did. I think it's kind of just a symptom of what's happening in this country.
Okay.
They want it to be shady. They want to make sure people just
Are scared.
disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the guy that was sent to what was he, El Salvador, I believe it was.
Right. And then Africa.
Crazy. Yeah,
Then
it's just
Africa.
crazy.
Yeah, no, but the good thing about that is, it's like what the Sodom touch, the reverse Midas touch, everything turns to shit. that Trump touches, he had a great issue on immigration, and that
Yep.
got him elected.
Yep.
Okay, and if he had focused on the few rapists and murderers in that population, the like 0.1%, but as someone, Michelle Goldberg, just brilliant, she said people were saying. I wanted to get rid of the rapists and the murderers, but they took my son's soccer coach, and people are seeing that, and he's underwater
Yeah.
on his best issue,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it as horrible as it is, it's actually like good for the country that he's done that.
Yeah.
Because it's undermined him.
Yeah. The only other things I'll say is, I don't know. I hope everyone here is a supporter of David Jolly. I'm a big supporter of David Jolly. I have to be honest. Originally, I was like, I really don't. I don't think he really has a shot.
Mm-hmm. You said that.
I don't. I didn't. I didn't think he has a shot. And this, I think, in the past month and a half, this is the first time, and this takes a lot for me to say this, because I think you probably all have heard me say a lot of bad things about where the Democratic Party is in the state. It's the first time I've ever felt like we actually have a shot at something in the state right now, at this early of a stage. I've said, I think, many times, I don't know if I've said it to you all, but I think it takes like a 10 to 15 year plan for us to make something happen in this state. It has sped up to a degree.
Yeah.
It has sped up to a degree that I would never have guessed, only because of colossal fuck ups from Donald Trump. I don't understand.
Right. Exactly.
I don't understand the thought process on anything he does, but that's Donald Trump, of course. And I legitimately believe David Jolly has an actual shot.
Yeah.
And I've never once believed that. Never once believed that. And I do believe it as of, I'd say, about a month and a half ago. I believe that even if he does lose, which let me be clear, I think it's still the most likely scenario, but it's not the scenario at this point. Even if he does lose, he will lose by a few points. And if he loses by a few points, we will flip.
A movement.
We will flip like a dozen seats in the state house and the state senate altogether. Why does that matter? Because it gets us out of the super minority in the state house. The state senate, depending on how many seats we flip, could get us out of the super minority. We haven't been out of the super minority in, I believe, 6 years, 4 to 6 years, something like that. And it puts us in a much better spot for redistricting, which is the most important thing that we have to look towards in 2032, after the census in 2030. If we are not out of the super minority by 2030, I will be very clear about this. We will be killed. We will be straight up annihilated, even more so than we already are as Democrats in the state legislature. And anything we care about will be not even 10 years away. It will be 20 years from now.
I mean, just about the only thing we can do in Florida is a statewide election.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Because it's so gerrymandered and. But no,
I'm sorry.
Is Deming's husband out?
Deming's husband is running. Jerry Demings, he's still running. I think he's a good guy, but I just think David Jolly's the guy.
But they should get together.
I think they've tried. I think David's tried multiple times, from my understanding, and I don't know why Jerry's still in it. But David Jolly will be our nominee. I have no thoughts about that. I think he definitely will be. Sure. And he will be a great candidate for us. He has outperformed every expectation I had for him so far. And the only thing is he needs to raise more money, which everyone needs to raise more money. So,
Democrat. My thinking on that is I've spent my entire life trying to convince people to change their minds. I'll be damned if I'm going to condemn somebody who did.
Right.
But I mean, Charlie Crist. Charlie, I had a guy, and people have heard this a dozen times from me already, but say that if he was the nominee and he was a committee man in Jacksonville, if Chris got the nomination, he was going to stay home and he was going to tell everybody he knew to stay home. And Nikki Fried did not help things with
Oh, yeah,
that
she made it very
campaign.
hard.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
She
and
spent all
Char-
her money on attacking Charlie
yeah,
for that.
and Charlie Chris, when I came down here, my aunt, his mother
Mm.
said it was 2012 and it was Scott running for reelection
Yeah.
against Chris. And she said, you know, he used to be a Republican and it was a lot closer then
Yeah.
that he was a Republican. She said, I always had a soft spot for Charlie because of what he did with the felon list. You
Yeah.
know, and he rehabilitated twice as many people as Jeb Bush in half of the number of years. And he was just like he was a decent man, you know, he was a nice guy. And then you had these Democrats who just said he was a Republican 10 years ago, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to vote.
Republican, I think, is different at that time too. I mean,
Exactly.
compared to now, it's
Yeah.
and I will also say Florida is now we have 1.5 million more Republicans registered
Yeah.
in the state than
Right.
Democrats. We need Republicans to win any election that we do
Right.
win in this state, which means I think we need to have a moderate message. Whether you agree with that or disagree, we have to have Republicans vote for
Yeah.
whoever our candidate is.
Well, that's how
Um,
Emily Gregory won.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also have to make sure that we get independents and NPAs completely on board with us.
Mhm.
The numbers basically, like if David Jolly is going to win, he has to get like 95% of all Democrats to vote for him. He has to get like 60 to 65% of all independents
Right.
and like 10 to 15% of all Republicans to vote for him, which is why it's so hard to imagine him winning.
Yeah.
But it's not out of the realm of possibility
No.
now.
Neither party has a
Um,
majority.
So we have to
It's the
just
MPAs that will decide.
right. The MPAs are very important in the state, and we just have to make sure we get our people organized for David in this race, and we make sure we get his message out there. I love his message, which is basically we have an establishment party. We have politicians in Tallahassee dictating ridiculous policies with unrivaled amounts of corruption. Pretty much exactly what I've tried to say. And that's also causing us a massive affordability crisis. And we'll see what his solutions look like and how he gets that in front of people. But I think he's got a good shot. And the other last thing I'll say is this is going to take a long time, no matter what, still, with trying to get a majority in the state
Yeah.
house and the state senate. It's the most important thing that we could do. If we get a majority in the state house and the state senate, we own the redistricting process.
Yeah.
We own it.
Yeah.
They will have a split situation with our state and state's house and state senate, and we will no longer be killed in gerrymandering by their
Right.
gerrymandering across the state, whether it's congressional or state house and state senate. And if we had a fair state house, senate, and congressional map, the way our Democratic Party would be operating in the state is a lot different than what you see now. So we've got to work towards that. Well, last thing. Obviously, I'm running for office. I have to do a shameless plug.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm pulling my wallet.
I
out.
appreciate that. I love to steal y'all's money, of course, and put it to good use. This campaign, I'm proud to say there's over 260 candidates right now running for state house across the state. I am one of 17 candidates in this state that have qualified by petition for the ballot this year. That means I went around collecting petitions instead of paying to get on the ballot. And there's only 16 other candidates that did that.
Wow.
And I had to, work every single day in the hot sun. Now it's getting even hotter to do that. And I'm excited that we did. We've also raised more money than every other candidate in this race. I've personally knocked over 7,000 doors in this campaign. I will knock another 5,000 by the primary. And I have a competitive general election. It is a seat that we need to keep. And so I want to make sure that we win this seat. I will also say that we've just rolled out a ton of endorsements. With the entire Broward Senate Democratic delegation endorsement. We also have Leader Berman. We also have Senator Tina Polsky, who I believe is close to this area, if not this area exactly.
Yeah.
And Senator Leader Designate Chevron Jones, and a number of Representative Kelly Skidmore, Representative Rob Long, a lot of Palm Beach people, basically, and all of our Broward people. So I think we've got a real shot to win this race. I believe we will win this race, but I'm running as if I'm down 20 points because that's the only way I know how to run. So I'm glad to be here. I'll answer any questions you all have. My only shameless plug is if you want to help make us win this race, any contribution goes a long way.
Will do.
My
Yeah.
website's on the literature on the bottom there. You can make a donation online, or I'll take a check from any one of y'all and give you a big fat kiss if you give me some dollars. So thank you all so much for having me. Thank you. Absolutely. I'll give you my card.
Here.
But tonight his contact information is running.
Oh, no?
Here you go. No phone number or website. Email.
The website was on the phone.
The website's on the bottom of the other side.
Florida.
Does anyone have any questions for me?
You donate?
That's where you donate. Yes, you go on there.
That was the question.
Love it. I like that. That's my favorite question. No questions.
And talking it up down there and talking, to some of the colleges that you get these younger kids that they're so apathetic.
Yeah. So most of y'all, I think, originally know me from Florida Feature Leaders, which we're still running that pack. This year, our support is going to be focused on, as of right now, it could change. We believe 2 state House seats and then 1 state Senate seat. There's 1 state Senate seat in Miami-Dade, which we have a real belief that we're going to flip. We're going to be canvassing on behalf of that candidate. We plan to knock thousands of doors for that candidate, and also be doing vote by mail enrollment for our Democrats there. As far as the state House seats, we're still selecting, but most likely what we're looking at is August Mangini, who's running for House District 93, I believe it is, which is here in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
It's the Wellington area.
Right. That's
I believe it's Wellington.
Who was?
Oh, no, not
Catherine something.
It's
Just
Catherine
lost-
Waldron.
Yeah.
Catherine
right.
Waldron's seat that she lost.
Yeah.
We will flip that seat. We are just working to make sure that we're going to flip that seat. And the other seat that we're looking at, I don't know if you all are familiar with Hillary Cassell. She was a Democrat that flipped her party registration the month after she got elected in the state house.
What do you mean she put
Oh, I remember.
She
that.
flipped the party. She went to Republicans.
Right.
And right after an election. And we want her out, and we will be knocking thousands of doors on behalf of that
Sure.
candidate as well. His name is Todd Del May. And we feel very confident that he's going to win as well, but we got to work at it. And really our whole game this year for these candidates is we're going to hire as many college kids as we can to knock doors in the hot sun,
Yeah.
all the way through the November election, in those districts.
We can't really do that.
And so we feel good.
Yeah.
We feel good about those elections, but we just got to keep working at it, basically.
And the thing about FAU, the Democratic Party just started this new club in Palm Beach County for God, now I'm blocking on that.
35 and under?
No, can I have the May issue? Because I put their newsletter
Oh, yeah.
in. Oh no, it's the April issue.
Oh,
Here.
I didn't see it too.
But they are the DCDC, Democratic Campus Development Club. And Ethan Fenichel, who's now the
Yeah, how's he doing?
he's terrific.
Good.
He's
Haven't
really
talked to him in a
awesome.
while.
No, he is. And he's been like I think kind of a mentor to Nick
Good.
at FAU, and now Nick is gone. I just met the new president
Okay.
at FAU, but they're making a real effort to go into all of the campuses and Nick was great.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
was
we were
good.
just talking about when we first came in here, the House district for FAU is a competitive seat. And so if we can get our kids out at FAU again, we can make sure we actually win it this time because it came close last time. And any resources for them that I know they're doing the work out there, that goes a long way. So get connected with them if you haven't. They're
Yeah.
doing a lot of voter registration, voter outreach there at FAU. So any questions, any other questions that I can answer?
I don't have questions, but I need to congratulate you for your hard work,
Thank
from where you started,
Yeah.
which we learned earlier, where you've come. You are a shining star to us.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it and
Yeah.
always happy to be here. I
Yeah.
appreciate y'all dearly, seriously, and anything I can do, please reach out.
Thank
and
you.
let me know when I'm welcome back up here. Always happy.
Yeah, right, anytime.
Thank you so much.
To-
Thank you, sir.
uh,
Jayden D'Onofrio for State House.
Okay.
If you need me to spell it, I can.
For. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna send you news story that's on the scene.
Uh-huh.
For some, that may,
Okay.
give us surprising story Democratic. The name is, Fallow, it's
Okay.
murder. Little lady.
And I think somebody doesn't.